Welcome back into another episode of Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. In today's show, we are going to talk recruiting throughout. It is an elite, massive recruiting list this weekend for Miami game, and Florida State has a chance to not only set themselves up to finish the 24 class strong, but 25 and 26 and beyond, because this is how you win national titles. You recruit at an elite level and you build upon your success on the field. And this weekend certainly gives them that chance. Please hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to this podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcast for free and on YouTube, part of the awesome Locked On Network, your team every single day. And today's episode is going to be brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a great app to use. It's very simple. And today's episode is brought to you by prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. So here's the deal. In all the years that I've covered recruiting, I've seen a ton of visitor lists that were impressive. Some may be better than this one, maybe not. It's subjective, but this is truly the creme de la creme elite list that I can remember for Florida State in a very, very long time. How many years, I don't know, but the lists are bigger now because you try to get more underclassmen. So it's kind of hard to compare when it's not apples to apples. But the elite 24 kids are there. The elite 25 kids are there. They even have some 26 kids, which I'll probably get into in a later show in a few weeks. But we're going to talk mostly just 24 and 25. It's a 30-minute show. And it's going to start off with Jeremiah Smith. It's going to talk about Cam Coleman and the elite players like that. And then we're going to break it down because especially the 25 group is incredible. All of these kids set you up for the future. There is no one segment that's important over another or anything. It's just throughout. It is massive. I could do a 2-hour show on this. Literally. That's how much information is here. I know the vast majority of these kids from Florida that are coming to the game. And it is a primarily local group, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. And it's fantastic. So let's talk about Jeremiah Smith first. In case you didn't know, best player in the country, class of 24, technically committed to the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's been to Florida State before. He's been earlier this year, he's been earlier this season, etc. This is probably Florida State's last hurrah to try to flip him. Is it going to be easy? No. It's extremely hard. He's the number one player in the country, though. You have to try. I've said this before on this show, and I shall say it again. Since I saw Moss, and I've never seen a better high school film than Randy Moss's film, this is the closest thing that I've seen to it. And I know Jeremiah, he's the kind of kid off the field that you want. He works harder than about anybody. When he's in the zone, he's in the zone. He's different than anybody else I know in terms of all the physical and mental traits combined. He's as close to an elite, sure thing, wide receiver prospect as one is going to see. He is a walk-in and start day one kid at Florida State. I do not care who they sign. I do not care which kids they bring into the portal. Walk-in day one starter at Florida State. That's where I see it. Now, Florida State might try to ease him in, not to screw up chemistry, but he's going to start next year if he goes to Florida State. Period. He's going to start next year if he goes to Ohio State. Period. And et cetera, et cetera. Him being back on campus against the team that a lot of people thought was the biggest threat to get him to flip, that's pretty interesting. Miami's right down the road. Mario Cristobal and the Canes have recruited him as hard as you can possibly recruit him. But Jeremiah told me a long time ago something that was very, very point blank, and I give him respect for it. He picked Ohio State originally on one basic premise. Totally get it. They develop receivers, and they have proven they will develop, not what's projected. They have proven better than anybody else that they can get guys to the National Football League. That's his opinion. He doesn't want to hear about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Current staff, what have you done? That makes it really hard on the Florida schools because they're all newer staffs. Just is what it is. If he sticks with that, I don't see how he doesn't sign with Ohio State. But again, he's in Tallahassee. He's going to be on the sidelines. Florida State should win handedly. If you can't impress him here and at least put yourself in a position down the stretch for the December 20 signing day, something's wrong. They're on him as hard as they can. I know Florida State has recruited Jeremiah very, very hard. I know that from talking to him personally. This is a kid you got to go after. Similar. The other kid, if you're going to rank somebody else as high or higher, very similar body builds, Cameron Coleman, Phoenix City, Alabama. He is from Central. It's a program that traditionally sends kids to Auburn and Alabama. He committed to A&M. Nobody expects him to really sign there. He's going to be at Florida State this weekend. A lot of people think he's going to be at the Iron Bowl for when Auburn hosts Alabama in a few weeks. This is a crazy recruitment. Anything could happen. I'm really confident on the Jeremiah situation. I know him. I don't know Cam. I've met him, but I don't know him. I have no idea where this kid's going to sign. None. But he is another condor like Jeremiah. Jeremiah is 6'3", 210. Cam, I'm guessing, is around 200. And he is just freaky athletic, just like Jeremiah. The only difference is Jeremiah lives in South Florida and this kid lives in Alabama. That's about it. The difference, though, for me is the personality. I don't know what Cam's looking for. I do know what Jeremiah is. But again, especially with the receivers that Florida State's trotting out on the field, you want to have a long-term national title opportunity year in, year out. No position in sport right now has been galvanized more and moved up the list of importance than wide receiver. I did some numbers today, just as an example, looking at different conferences. The top 4 teams in the SEC in any particular order: Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and LSU, based on record. Those 4 teams are also the top 4 teams in total plays of 20 or more yards, something I talk about on this show. A lot of that is just the big passing plays. They've got receivers that just take the ball away from you. It's imperative that you get those guys. Imagine where Florida State would be this year without Keon Coleman, that one guy that is just a complete difference maker. Cam, obviously, the name is interesting. Cameron Coleman is a really, really similar player. It's amazing what he can do in tight quarters against guys even smaller than him in terms of making the miss, what he can do in a route, when he gets on top, when he stacks guy. He runs faster than kids that are 5'11", 170. He's 200 pounds. This is another guy that can change your program. Florida State is right there. I had somebody recently tell me that knows him better than me that he thought Florida State was the biggest threat to A&M. That's just what I was told. I do not know. Just being honest. I don't know the kid like I knew Jeremiah. That being stated, this is a recruitment that is going to go down to the wire. Amongst all the 24 kids, and I've got not one page, but 2 pages of notes, and I wasn't even close to done, and I just gave up. These are the 2 most important kids. If you're going to remember anything else from this show, class of 24, 2 wide receivers, Jeremiah Smith, Cameron Coleman. Come hell, come high water. If they want to truly maximize this class, they got to get one of those 2 kids. Florida State knows that. Just from talking to people around Florida State, talking to people in the recruiting industry, they know they're on that cusp. They got Wayne McCoy and BJ Gibson's really freaking good from Wilcox County in Georgia. Nobody knows where that's at. He can play. But if you put Coleman and or Jeremiah on the field with them, they're going to smoke everybody, especially in the ACC. It'll be a complete non-contest every year. They would have to have injuries at the yin-yang to lose a game or have 5 turnovers. You get those kind of players, it'll be like Florida State's fast break from the 90s again. It'll be a complete demolition derby. But at the same time, you still got to get them. So that's something to think about. But these 2 guys, out of everything on this show, it is vital they get one of them. They change the game. So